As Napoleon's army marched through the streets of Jena, a philosopher in a scholar's robe stood at the window, gazing at the conqueror on the white horse, murmuring, "This is the incarnation of the world spirit." This is Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, the culmination of German classical philosophy, a giant of thought who constructed a grand philosophical system with dialectics. Unlike Kant, known for his criticism, or Nietzsche, with his sharpness, he wove the philosophical firmament into a coherent masterpiece through the dialectical logic of thesis-antithesis synthesis. From a youth in Stuttgart to a professor at the University of Berlin, from the groundbreaking phenomenology of spirit to the completion of the Encyclopedia of the Philosophical Sciences, Hegel's ideas, like a galloping river, have nourished numerous fields such as philosophy, politics, and aesthetics in later generations. Born in 1770 in Stuttgart, Germany into a civil servant family, Hegel's father was a senior tax official, and his mother was a well-educated woman. The rigorous family atmosphere enabled him to develop a habit of diligence and eagerness to learn from an early age. He entered a Latin school at the age of 6, and by 10, he could proficiently read classical literature, showing a strong interest in Greek tragedies and Roman history. At 18, Hegel entered the Tübingen Theological Seminary, where he became classmates and friends with H. Elderlin and Schelling. During his 5 years at the seminary, he not only systematically studied theological courses but also extensively dabbled in philosophy, history, and literature. At that time, Tübingen was in the midst of the French Revolution, and the young Hegel was deeply influenced by Enlightenment ideas. He even planted a freedom tree with his classmates, and fervently discussed issues of human rights and freedom. This experience sowed the seeds of concern for reality and history in his later philosophical thought. After graduation, Hegel worked as a tutor in Bern and Frankfurt successively. During this period, he conducted in-depth research on economics and politics, especially developing a strong interest in British classical political economy. He frequently exchanged ideas with Schelling in letters, gradually forming his initial conception of a philosophical system. In 1801, Hegel came to the University of Jena to teach, starting his academic career and ushering in a period of explosive ideological creation. Hegel's philosophical system is like a magnificent edifice, with dialectics as its foundation, covering 3 major fields: logic, natural philosophy, and spiritual philosophy. While absolute spirit is the soul running through it, in the science of logic, Hegel put forward the famous dialectical thought, namely the 3-stage development law of thesis-antithesis synthesis. He believed that the development of anything must go through the stages of its own affirmation thesis, negation antithesis, and finally reach the stage of negation synthesis, achieving unity at a higher level. This dialectical logic broke the static thinking of traditional metaphysics, viewing the world as a process of constant movement, development, and self-sublation. Natural philosophy is an important part of Hegel's system. He believed that nature is the externalization of absolute spirit, developing in the order of mechanism, physics, and organism, from inorganic matter to organic matter, from plants to animals, and finally realizing the return to spirit in human beings. Although some of these specific views have been surpassed by modern science, his thinking on the continuity of natural development has had an indirect impact on later evolutionary ideas. Spiritual philosophy is the core of Hegel's system, including 3 stages: subjective spirit, individual consciousness; objective spirit, law, morality; ethics, state, and absolute spirit, art, religion, philosophy. In Elements of the Philosophy of Right, he put forward the famous assertion that what is rational is actual, and what is actual is rational, believing that any existing thing has its necessity and rationality for existence, but at the same time, it will be replaced by a higher form in development. In his view, the state is the highest embodiment of objective spirit, and philosophy is the ultimate self-knowledge of absolute spirit. The publication of Phenomenology of Spirit in 1807 marked the maturity of Hegel's philosophical thought. This work is regarded as the birthplace and secret of his ideological system, full of revolutionary insights. In the book, with the subtitle Science of the Experience of Consciousness, Hegel traced the development of human consciousness from the lowest level of sensory certainty to absolute knowledge. Through his classic exposition of the master-slave dialectic, he revealed the formation process of self-consciousness. The opposition between master and slave is not eternal. The slave recognizes his own strength in labor, and finally realizes the negation of the master, and this interaction promotes the development of consciousness. This idea was later developed by Marx into the theory of class struggle, becoming an important ideological resource for social revolution. The language of phenomenology of spirit is obscure and difficult, yet full of dialectical tension. Hegel integrated human experiences such as history, culture, and religion into the course of consciousness development, believing that the progress of human spirit is a process of constantly overcoming contradictions and achieving self-transcendence. As he said in the preface, truth is the whole a self-developing process. This work not only established Hegel's academic status, but also became an important bridge from Kant to Marx in German classical philosophy.